Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk Scream 8. There's a lot of rumors right now swirling on social media over what Scream 8 is going to be about. There's no official news. There's no Paramount, Spyglass, or any of the big media outlets like Deadline or Hollywood Reporter saying anything, right? So all the news and rumors that you are hearing on Twitter, it's all lies. It's all fake. It's people inventing stuff so that you can click on it and they can make money off of it, right? That's what it is. Could there be a chance that any of the things that they're saying is true and real? Maybe. What a coincidence that year after year, every time a Scream movie comes out, it's the same accounts who have all the leaks. This came out, the script's being done about this, about that, this person's gonna be here. And it never turns out to be real or true when the movie comes out. But anyways, I digress. However, I do want to speak on some of the things that are coming out because at the end of the day, they do make for a good conversation. And right now, with how the fandom is completely divided, there's a lot to talk here. And today I want to focus on something that I heard, something that someone wrote to me on my Twitter or my X. And it's someone that I, converse a lot on social media. He's always very nice. He never has anything mean or rude to say, but he always says things in a way as if he knows it's a fact. Is it true? Is it fact? I don't know. I don't think it is. But he has this way of speaking as if he knows for sure. Okay, so he sent me this about Scream 8. 8 is expected to have a more old-fashioned, vengeful Ghostface. Sydney and Tatum will still be central to the story, but everything's pointing that Gale will become the main target after 30 years. And Sydney and Tatum are caught in the middle as bait to lure Gale in. So basically, he's hinting that Scream 8, the main character, the main story is going to be about Gale, a Gale-focused story. Do I believe this? No. Absolutely not. Would this work? In my opinion, no, absolutely not. Could they write a really good script that could center around her and still make it work? Maybe. There's always a possibility for anything in life. So maybe, but I doubt it's going to happen. So let's break it down. I want to start with the fans versus general audience. Those are two very different things. Will the fans be okay and be behind the idea of Gale being the main character of a Scream movie? Of course they would, because fans, especially the delusional fans of the Scream fandom, they will say yes to anything. Anything. Because they just want a movie. Whether it's good or bad, they don't care. Okay? I want a movie. Even if it's bad, I'm going to enjoy it. But if it's bad, I'm going to criticize the hell out of it and tear it a new hole. Because if it's not good, it deserves to be criticized. But these types of fans, even if it's bad, they'll go to their dying grave always saying that was the best thing they've ever seen. And they can never criticize the movie because they live in Delulu land. Okay? So for them, that would work. For me, it wouldn't. And I'm sure for some of you, would not work either. Now, will it work for general audiences? General audiences are the ones that drive more money to the box office than the actual fandom. Remember that, okay? So, will the general audience people who come to see a Scream movie be okay with now watching a film where it's all about Gale Weathers? No Sidney Prescott, or at least Sidney Prescott is, a supporting character. Will they be okay with that? No, they won't. Because what they want out of Gale is for Gale to come in, do a few funny lines, a good kick-ass scene, and that's it. Nobody cares for a story about Gale, a story about her background, her feelings, her emotions. No. Her story was all about Dewey. And now that Dewey is not around, that is it. Okay? So general audiences will not come and support a movie when they see a trailer that makes it seem that it's all about Gale. They're going to be turned off. And most likely, they're going to say, I'll wait for it on streaming. They're not going to go see it in theaters. Believe me, that's what's going to happen. So again, Gale works best as a supporting character. That's the sad truth. That's how she was designed to be. That's what she brings to the table. That is the element that she is supposed to play, the role that she's supposed to play, and that is what she adds to the Scream formula. You take her out of that, it is not going to work. Especially if you put Sydney as a supporting character. It'll be weird. Nobody liked Sydney as a supporting character in 5. People were like, they're all mad about that. How unacceptable, how disgusting, how dare they? So now you're telling me that because we put Gale as the main lead, now we're okay with Sydney being supporting character? Come on, guys, be real here. I know some of you might bring up the fact that Kevin Williamson himself wanted a Scream 6 which focused on Gale and her story after Dewey died. He was also going to make Dewey get killed on his own Scream 5 if they had gotten to that point. And Scream 6, he wanted it to focus around Gale and having to cope with Dewey's death and her dating and having paranoia of whether the person she's dating is maybe a killer or not. Kind of like what Sydney went through with Billy Loomis in part 1. So I know some of you might say, well, he wanted it. If the creator wanted it, then it must be a good idea. It never got made for a reason. It never got there, okay? He kind of lost his mojo after Scream 4. I love Kevin Williamson, but you have to be realistic and understand that what he created in the 90s and early 2000s, he kind of lost that magic just a little bit. So to think that Scream 4 and 5 were going to be Jill stories, and then 6 was going to jump to Gale, and that was going to work, again, Delululand. That is a bad idea. It didn't work for a reason. It was never going to work. Also, there's a video from this past year when they were doing promotion for Scream 8 that Kevin basically said that while they were working late at night, 3 a.m. on set, Nev came up with this great idea for what Scream 8 would be, and that everyone really liked it, and that everyone really kind of fell behind, and that if 7 did well, that could be a great idea for what they would do for 8. So, you really think that Nev Campbell, the girl who was upset that for Scream 6, she didn't get the money that she deserved, all of a sudden she's going to say that her great idea is that she is out of the movie and they make Gale the star character and Courtney the lead of the film? You know that's not the case. I'm not saying that Nev Campbell is a mean girl or that she doesn't support other women, but you know she's not going to remove herself willingly and let somebody else take the spotlight when even herself, she has said she is the main character of the Scream franchise. So that's not a great idea that they're going to go with on 8 if that's what they choose to do. Okay? Now this brings me to Courtney Cox versus Nev Campbell and their star power. Who has the more star power? Think about it. Okay? Courtney Cox, in my opinion, in Hollywood, has more power. She has more money. She has a big legacy with Friends, and she has Friends money, which, as we know, it's a lot of money. Like, she is filthy as fuck rich. She really is. She is fuck you rich, okay? So in Hollywood, behind the scenes, to bring people together, to make a project, she is the perfect person to do that. She has more power than Nev Campbell for sure when it comes to that. Nev Campbell is just an actress. She doesn't really have like the power like that to make big moves in Hollywood in like the big executive rooms and in like those meetings, okay? Courtney does. However, when we talk about movies and movie tickets, who has more star power? That's Nev Campbell. She has a history of movies that have done well. She is not a huge star. I'm not saying that right now you put her in a movie outside of Scream and she's going to deliver a huge hit. No, she cannot sell a ticket outside of Scream. And that is the reality. Okay? That's why she's doing a lot of streaming projects. Then, Courtney Cox, she has never sold a ticket in her life. She cannot sell a movie ticket if her life depended on it. Okay? So neither of them, outside of Scream, are stars, are movie stars that bring in audiences. But Nev versus Courtney, Nev has more star power. So there's no way that Spyglass, that the studio is going to choose Courtney to be the lead over Nev Campbell, especially when Nev Campbell just proved to everybody with Scream 7 that Sydney coming back, that she coming back brings in money. Biggest box office of the entire franchise, Scream 7, because she returned. I'm not saying she's the only reason why 7 did that box office, because she is not. She's not the only reason why that movie made so much money. There's a lot more behind that, but it definitely helped having her back, having Sydney back. That was a draw for a lot of people. But what about when we talk about Gale versus Sydney star power? Who is more popular? Who do people want to see more on screen as the lead? It's always going to be Sydney, okay? Sydney Prescott is a huge name in the horror genre. She is the final girl of this generation. She is going to go down in history as a big name when it comes to horror. Gale Weathers will forever be a sidekick, a supporting character. She is not the one to be leading Scream 8, for sure. If they want to have a big success or big successful movie again with like 7 was, they need to stay with what worked, not all of a sudden jump and do something completely different. Also, let's say they do make her the lead, which is, again, dumb idea. Let's say they decide to make Gale Weathers the lead of Scream 8. Do I really want that after the Gale that we got in Scream 7? The Scream 7 Gale that we got is, I'm sorry to say, but this is how they portrayed her, as an old lady who is physically hurt and disabled with shakes in her hands. She has suffered a lot of trauma. She has gone through depression. She is not capable of going one-on-one with Ghostface. Even Sydney Prescott realized that, and is the reason why she left Gale in the radio station, in the news station, and ran away and left her behind to save her. Because even she knows that if you put Gale, that kind of Gale, older, hurt, physically incapable of being in the action, she will get killed. And she loved her so much that that's why she left her behind. So I'm sorry, I don't want a Scream 8 that is going to focus on a character who is that weak at this point in their lives. It just wouldn't work. It would be so unrealistic. And before you say Laurie Strode and Halloween and all of that, I'm sorry. You're comparing, apples to oranges. Very different stories, very different scenarios. Completely. Okay? In my opinion, the best thing we could do for Gale, if we want her to be the star, if we want her to be the one leading a project, give her a streaming show. Let's make a really good series, a streaming series about Gale's journalism and how she's trying to solve a crime. A really good true crime show that is smaller scale, on the ground, more grounded, trying to solve a true crime, that just happened, a mystery. That should be her show. Kind of like True Detective. Could there be a Ghostface in that story? Absolutely. Or she's just going after serial killers. But that is where she belongs. She does not belong in a big budget movie as the lead. That would not work. That would flop. Okay? And guys, I know I sound pretty harsh and pretty direct and pretty certain about what I'm saying, but it's because I'm passionate about this, and it's because I'm coming from a place of being realistic, right? I don't want these movies to be so stupid and silly as this last one was. It was comical. This was a humiliation. To be a fan of the Scream franchise and get a movie like Scream 7, I felt humiliated. It's like, people think I like this? No. So I want these movies to get better, and they have to start making better choices and decisions moving forward that will reflect the quality of what we got in 1 and 2. Because ever since 1 and 2, like 3 and 4, those weren't too terrible, but the quality has dropped. I like 5 and I love 6 because of the sequences and how intense that movie felt. but you have to be realistic and understand that the quality is slowly dropping, and I don't want to see that happen. I want good quality movies, well made, great stories, and also big box office. I want both. I don't want big box office and bad movie. I want both. And moving forward, Gale as the lead is not the way. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening to my opinions on Scream 8. Please let me know in the comments below what you think about what I'm talking about. Would you accept and like a movie where Gale Weathers is the lead? Let me know. Let's talk about it. And remember, let's always keep it frank together.